Let's turn to Jonathan Sacerdoti. He joins us live from London. Jonathan is a terrorism analyst who was actually in Paris during those deadly attacks. Jonathan, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
How significant is the fact they caught Abdelslam alive?
It's incredibly significant. If you think about the 4 months plus period during which he's been hiding, this is something of a coup for the intelligence services across France and Brussels and also in Europe in general. This has been public enemy number one, the man they wanted to catch. And by catching him alive, they're hopefully going to be able to extract further intelligence from him and cross-reference it with other sources they have, including those leaked ISIS documents recently with so many names of other people who are suspects now for engaging in terror activities. Really, it's a bit like a jigsaw puzzle. By putting together all the different pieces, they're able to broaden the picture and get a fuller idea of what's going on. But of course, for every terror cell that they do know about, there are potentially others that they don't know about. And they'll be hoping, of course, that the intelligence they can gather from interrogating him and also from going through the properties where he may have been hidden during those last 4 months, they might in fact be able to find other cells, other places and other plots which could be unfolding over the next few weeks, months and years across Europe.
So Jonathan, what happens if he doesn't talk?
Well, of course, we know that these sorts of terrorists had training in Syria and in the Middle East for their actual attacks. It's likely that they may have had training on how not to talk. But what we do know about this particular suspect is that he is the one who didn't detonate his suicide vest, which indicates that maybe he actually is somebody who is somewhat weaker than the others. He might be more inclined to talk. And even if he doesn't provide very much information, going through the places where he has been hiding, looking through his computers, his mobile phones, anything else that intelligence services can get their hands on, will help them to figure out where other people are, who's been protecting him, and to complete that jigsaw puzzle. And of course, there were other arrests. They will be able to use information from each one of those people against the other to try to encourage them to speak. This sort of intelligence has been mastered in countries like Israel, who've been fighting these sorts of jihadi attacks for years, and those sorts of techniques are going to be needed now increasingly in Europe, where we're seeing these attacks taking place. In Israel, they tend to capture these sorts of terrorists within the following days after attacks. Europe has a lot of catching up to do, and in a way this is something of a failure as well as a success, because of just how long it's taken.
Well, that was going to be my next question. How does the man that many refer to as the most wanted man in Europe go under the radar for 4 months?
Well, the techniques used by these terrorists tend to be sticking close to people they know well, perhaps people they've known all their lives. That could be family members or it could be childhood friends. And that seems to be what's going on here. The others who have been arrested with him, we've been told in the press conference just recently, were members of the same family, potentially, who had been hiding him. Police and intelligence services will be looking into exactly who those people are, and they'll be able to see not just who hid him, but what kinds of people might have been recruited by ISIS elsewhere in Europe in order to protect other killers and other terrorists. And this will help give them a better picture of this emerging threat that is now posing a terror threat to the whole of Europe.
Jonathan, are you concerned at all about what this man has been doing the last 4 months? Is there a sense, perhaps in the intelligence community, among investigators, that he could have been plotting other attacks?
Very much so. That raid that took place on Tuesday, which eventually, almost accidentally, led to today's capture, actually turned up some weaponry, quite a lot of weaponry, in that apartment on Tuesday and hidden elsewhere. Now, that indicates that these terror cells were not simply lying low, hiding dormant after having managed to evade detection on his part after the November attacks, but they were potentially planning more. And ISIS has made it clear in their propaganda that they wish to carry out more spectacularly large attacks on other European targets, with intelligence sources here in the UK openly telling the press and the public that there could in fact be more attacks of that spectacular enormity taking place here in the United Kingdom, which is still at the second highest terror threat level that is possible in this country.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Jonathan Sacerdoti, we certainly appreciate your time, sir.